Hello guys, Tim here again. Heard another review, this time for the new The Stand adaptation miniseries for, I believe it's CBS streaming. Um, but yeah, this is directed by Josh Boone, who also did New Mutants. The New Mutants is a movie I actually enjoyed, but if you go back and watch my review, I pretty much have no knowledge of New Mutants, so my review for New Mutants is just based off, sorry about that, just based off it as a film. And I'll be honest, my expectations for that were pretty low, so if I rewatch that, I am kind of scared that I probably won't like it now. But anyway, as far as like Josh Boone goes, I think he's like an average director. He doesn't really bring anything really major to the table or anything. He has a couple of good shots and stuff like that he can do, but other than that, I think he's just kind of average. And as far as the Stand adaptation goes, if you watch my review for the Stephen King Marathon did, I believe I talked about the original Stand and that, the 90s miniseries. Now, the 90s miniseries had some cheesy moments. It was the 90s, of course, and but it was still really well executed. Like pretty much with Mick Garris, who directed that one, what you're going to get when it comes to Stephen King stuff is he will do pretty much what's on the page. So if the story's good, normally you'll get something good out of it. And depending on what his resources are, budget-wise and things like that, will normally determine the quality. Now, as far as this one goes, I'll just go ahead and say it from 1 to 4. I'd give it 2.5 out of 4. This is an all right series adaptation of The Stand. It's like 9 episodes long. And the final of this is pretty much a new written ending that King came up with himself that's different from the book and even different from the revised edition. I'll get to that. Pretty much the only thing he has extra is like this whole Franny subplot thing or a plot thing that's going on in the final episode. It wasn't really needed at all. Maybe if they like condensed it and just put it into the episode 8 before that where the story pretty much wraps up, it could have worked. There are certain things in it though that are needed and need to watch. But yeah, if you don't know, The Stand pretty much is about the end of the world, about a virus called Captain Trips that pretty much comes out kind of like a super flu thing and kills 99% of the population. The 1% of the population left divides into good and evil, and they either go to this Mother Abigail character who's like a representation of God, and they either go to the Randall Flagg section, which is like a representation for Satan, pretty much in Las Vegas. Here, like Las Vegas is like this whole Mad Max world or whatever, where everybody's like screwing on the side of the buildings and everything. It's just pretty much chaos. I heard some people claim that this is kind of over the top, but at the same time, I have a little faith in humanity, so it didn't bug me. I was fine with the whole Mad Max world representation thing they did here. Now, just to say, some good points. The production values are better here than the 90s version, of course, because this is made now, current. It's more updated. The acting here is also slightly better by the majority of the cast. The guy who plays Flag here, Alexander Skarsgård, does a better job, but he doesn't really show up to the third episode, which is a mistake in my opinion. The guy who plays Harold here is the standout because his character is the one that's focused on the most and he gets the most depth and development. The biggest problem with this is how it's told completely out of order. Like, it's not even until like episode 5 or 6 that it really starts coming together and all the backstory stuff is gone. Like, they'll introduce characters and then like in the later episode after, they'll go back and show their backstory. They're trying to be like Pulp Fiction, but it's more annoying here. Pulp Fiction works because it's a much more simpler movie and the way it's told. Here it's this big epic and everything's like told out of order and you don't have time to attach to the characters, like compared to the 90s version where it's told, in order and straight through. So it doesn't work really as well here at all. You got James Marsden, I believe he played Cyclops in the X-Men movies. This Stu Redman, who's pretty much the main character, this guy from Texas. Here in the original miniseries, he didn't want to help the government or have anything to do with them. Here, he does want to help the government, which is kind of more realistic that the dude being immune to the virus would want to help the government find a way to cure everybody. And he has like this really neat relationship with this doctor or whatever, which is pretty cool. But it's played by James Marsden. James Marsden is an actor who has little screen presence at all. He's a fine actor. He's a good actor, but he has no screen presence. And compared to Gary Sinise, who's in the original one, he just doesn't stand out whatsoever at all. And that's a problem here because he's the main character. And it's not his fault. There's just some actors with screen presence and some that just don't. James Marsden works better in secondary roles. He's not a leading man material because he has no presence, and he just doesn't work here either. As far as the rest of the cast goes, most of them are better. I like the guy who plays Lloyd. He's played by Nate Wolff here, who I believe is in the Death Note adaptation. That was a terrible movie, but here he does a great job as Lloyd, the guy who's that took out of prison by Randall Flagg, who becomes like his right-hand man. Pretty much you get the idea in this version that Randall Flagg is powered by the belief his followers have in him in Las Vegas, and that's the more power he has. Pretty much by the end, though, they all turn on him. You got Fiona Dorff here as the Rat Man. The problem with this thing is it's extremely rushed for 9 episodes. It's very rushed compared to the other version. the 90s miniseries, which was shorter. Everything here is like really rushed. Like certain things they completely rush over, and other things they'll spend way more amount of time just well, no, actually I take that back. They just rush over pretty much everything in this. Like they want to hurry up and rush over everything and get past all the character development and just get through like the main core of the plot, which is a mistake, because to get to the main core of the plot and get you to care about the characters, you need that development. Because everything's like told so much out of order, you only get like brief little character developments for each person really at certain times. There's like characters in here who are totally brushed over to the point where if you don't know The Stand or the original miniseries, you will have no idea who they are. Then we get to the final episode after they're like pretty much God destroys Vegas and all that and kills everybody. You get to like the final episode. Oh, and another thing before you even get to the final episode, it's not even like episode 6 where you get Ezra Miller's Trash Can Man. He finally shows up, and that's really weird because he's like a main character of the book in the 90s miniseries. Ezra Miller plays him like extremely over the top here, but I actually liked it. Some people didn't like it because of how over the top he was. I actually had fun with it because everything else is so kind of subdued here that I kind of had fun with it. Amber Heard plays Nadine Cross, and you don't really get like a plot development of her, why she wants to really be Randall Flagg's queen, or why she feels she has to be and doesn't want to do anything else. You get a little bit of backstory on it, but not enough to really flesh it out. And it's kind of that way in the 90s version as well. But Amber Heard has her moments of bad acting, but I warmed up to her as the show went along. She was totally fine here. I like the ending to this. It's pretty much based off the revised edition, the main ending, not the final episode that they do, because it did, in the final episode of this, after pretty much everything's over, they just do like an extended thing where it's like Randall Flagg's back is like a spear or whatever, and he wants to live through Fran, the character Fran. And the woman who plays Fran here is a bad actor. She has some moments where she works, but most of the time she's just not very good. Neither was Molly Ringwald really in the other one either. But he wants to like live through her or whatever, and she pretty much tells him no. She gets stuck in a well, and this is just totally not needed. And I just feel like it's put in here for just like some kind of feminist thing. The thing is, with a thing like The Stand, an ensemble piece, there's going to be some characters who get more time, and there's going to be some that don't. Fran is not very interesting, and she doesn't really deserve an arc or a bigger arc or more time. You don't really need it. Oh, and Nick Andrews or whatever, who was played by Rob Lowe, who was like a major character in the 90s miniseries, and in the book, he's totally brushed over here. He does pretty much nothing. The guy who plays Tom Collin, I believe is his name, the handicapped guy who keeps saying M-O-O-N, that spells whatever. He's good here. Yeah, I like his acting here. Most of the actors are good. They're just kind of underdeveloped, or they're just really, their character development is really squished together in just like random flashbacks to where you don't get a chance to like really latch onto them. The final of it, though, is after everything is over, like Randall Flagg shows up again naked to this like tribe in the middle of the jungle who is like so far away from everything that they didn't even get touched by the super flu because they're so far away from everything. And he pretty much shows up to her, and one of the dudes like throws a spear at him, and he goes like this and blows the guy's head off. It was kind of funny, and he like floats up there and says, "Worship me," as it ends, pretty much, you know, saying, get an idea that it's going to start all over. He's going to try to rebuild his community or tribe or whatever. Cult followers. But yeah, it was a pretty funny ending. Alexander Skarsgård did a good job there. All in all, this is 2.5 star as a whole series. It's all right. Would I recommend it? Only if you're a Stephen King fan. I like this. I liked it, but not like I like it. Like I like it all right. I wouldn't watch it again unless I was having like a Stand marathon or something. It's not worth going out of your way to see if you're just wanting to watch a horror miniseries or horror drama or whatever. But if you're a fan of like Stephen King, I would say give it one watch to see what you feel about it. All in all, though, like from like a rental to a full price or paying or whatever, I would give it like a high rental. It's worth watching once. One cool thing though in it is Randall Flagg's like smiley face thing he has on his jacket. It'll like his facial expression will change depending on his mood, which I thought was kind of neat. That was kind of funny. All in all, though, this is just kind of slightly below average as a whole. Part of me wonders if when this gets released on Blu-ray or whatever, if they put it in like chronological order, like re-edit it, would it play better? Actually, I think it would. But as a whole, as of right now, it's just kind of eh. I liked it, but not enough to like rush out of my way to see it again or anything. I'll just kind of stick with the 90s version. So all in all, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.